Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman, and this is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
Very good.
Good.
I have a question about growing gardens in a downtown environment. I know that lots of us like to have planters and window boxes and all sorts of things. How do we keep animals out? I know that you can, if you're planting in the ground, you can screen and do various things, but, downtown, let's face it, there are rats that sort of venture into places they shouldn't be, and also raccoons as well. So if you're actually trying to grow vegetables to eat, how can you actually protect them properly?
You end up having to actually cage them. Your vegetable garden, per se, would have hardware cloth buried down at least a foot. And then it's strung across the posts. And I would probably put in metal posts because I think they last a little longer. Some T-bars, okay, and drive them in on the four corners or even on a couple. And then I start stringing it around and I bury the hardware cloth. Now, hardware cloth is actually like a small chicken wire where the holes are about half an inch square. And you go right across, it's galvanized, okay, all the way around. Now, it's usually about, and you can get them at different heights, about 3 feet high. So you could step over it if you wished. If you don't want to, you can put a couple posts in and you can actually figure out putting in a little door. Then you keep going up and you can zip tie the hardware cloth to the posts, or you can actually twist tie it or use, I've actually saw one person cut up old coat hangers and do it. And so it really holds it on. And the T-bars, because they have the little teeth, will stop it from sliding up and down. This will prevent even animals from crawling up and over. Rabbits, particularly jackrabbits, can jump basically almost vertical and into your garden. So you can keep going up to whatever height you wish. Most people make it as tall as they are or a little taller. And then if you really wanted to, you can get silly crazy and you can put a roof on it so that even the squirrels who wants to climb can't get in. The only thing is you have to make sure that if in the fall leaves get on it, you do have to get them off just because of snow load. Because once the leaves freeze, they're wet, they freeze on the top, then there's a weight issue. But other than that, that's about the only way you can keep the animals out of a vegetable garden. Containers won't work. Other things, if we were talking cats, there's other methods to do that. But when you're dealing with the more aggressive rodents and raccoons, which are extremely smart, opossums, even squirrels and rabbits, then you're going to have to actually cage them. Containers won't work. You can do a couple of things which will also contribute, and that is you can put blood meal on as a fertilizer on your garden, and as long as they can smell the blood, they think something's died there, that does help. It also is a fertilizer. So, but that's exactly what it is. It is blood that you're putting on. Now, the other thing is, and you're going to have to really search for this, you can get wolf urine and it can go on the corners. And that usually keeps them away too, because they can smell it and they think it's too dangerous to be around there and they can leave. If it's groundhogs and other things like that, I know that it sounds gross and rude, but I have had people use human urine on the corners as well. I have some issues with that one, and which we will not get into because there's too many of them actually. But they'll smell this, and that also helps to keep some of the animals away. Usually it's groundhogs that works well with that one. But the wolf urine keeps basically everybody away. You might get away with also fox, but it's usually wolf that urine you end up using. Okay, but you're going to have to search for it. It is sold, and but to be honest with you, I don't know where.
Very interesting. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, basically the animals are not stupid. They can smell it. They know what's around, and they figure it's way too dangerous to be here, and off they go.
Well, I haven't actually grown vegetables where I am now, but at my last home, I did actually have a garden and never really got to eat a cantaloupe ever because the possums and all the other lovely creatures got to there.
Yep.
At first.
Yeah, and the other thing that you can do inside that cage, no matter how big you make it, you could, with the cantaloupe, actually use the dwarf ones, and depending on the strength of your cage, your overall cage, you can actually use women's old, what do you call them? Pantyhose to actually support the melons, tie them into the grid, and actually have them growing up as opposed to have them taking up ground space. Uh-huh. Probably best on the north side so it doesn't block out the light from the others. And use some of the more dwarf varieties, and some of the ones I would recommend are early cantaloupes and other melons like that. I don't think I would do watermelon. Okay. I think the weight's a little much.
Okay.
But try that, and you could do the same thing with cucumbers. And I would recommend that if you do cucumbers, because field cucumbers eventually become so inexpensive, that you actually try English cucumbers, or they're actually Japanese. But anyways, we won't get into that one. And the English cucumbers being long, the better dollars you spend on the seed, the less males you get. And I'm talking about flowers. It's very important that you pay for the seed that has the fewest male flowers produced. By doing that, the English cucumbers, the long cucumbers, don't get fertilized. They don't get crooked, they don't get fat, and the seed doesn't develop, and it doesn't get bitter, so that you actually have straight cucumbers that are the best. But you first of all start with the best seed you can possibly buy with the least amount of male flowers on the plant, and you seed them, okay? And then every morning you will go out, and about 10 o'clock when the foliage is dry, if there's any male flowers, you pick them off, okay? And that's always fun.
Well, thank you so much.
Because you got to figure out which one's male and which one's female. I'll let you work on that one.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast for this week.